Hi, this is John,
And this is Dhruv.
and this is week 41 of Dot Dreams Develop.
So I'm back finally. And this week I came up with this topic. So recently, this YouTuber named Blackthornpod, he does a lot of tutorial videos. He released his game on Steam that he's been working on for around 8 months. And he said that the money that he got, he doesn't know if it was the right amount or whether it was good or not. But what I wanted to get the topic on is really how long should you spend on a game? So different people have different ideas on this. I've read many articles that say that you should spend pretty much maximum of 3 months on one game. Because in terms of the market being so packed, Steam being so hard to really penetrate, it's better to push games out there that aren't necessarily like bad quality games, but just games that you are proud of but don't have as much content in them for a lesser price than it is to necessarily make a really big game and then release it and have it be super risky. Let's say you spend 2 years on the game and then you release it and then it drowns in the market, and now those 2 years are kind of like you got the experience, but in terms of financial, it's a loss. So it's whether or not that's worth it, and whether or not we think that it should be a short term or it should be a long term. So what do you think, John?
Ooh, I definitely have quite a lot to say, but since people have been listening to my voice for at least a month, just my voice, and they must be sick of it, I'm more interested in what you think first, because I feel like if I say certain things, it will come off as somewhat dismissive or even unrespectful. So I'd rather not shut people off before they start talking. So what do you think?
So my thing is that I think it depends on who is making the game and what type of financial stability that you have. So, and what type of person you are, really. So I think that if you're the type of person that wants to make games in order to make money, or not even necessarily wants to make games to make money, but generally needs money in order to survive, and that's why you're doing, like, you then quit your job and you don't have any other maybe you have emergency fund, but other than that you don't really have any other consistent income or way to survive, then I think doing a long-term game is really a really big risk and really difficult, because let's say you saved up 1 year's worth of money. And then so you have, I have 1 year to work on my game, and that whole year you're not making any money and you're just working on your game, and then when you release your game, if it doesn't make it's enough money to be able to support you, then pretty much that whole year you've kind of like gone through all this stress. Maybe your family or whatever that you have that has gone through so much stress to be able to get through that game, and then you released it after all that time. I can see that being a really big toll and really hard to be able to do consistently, because if that 1 year, now you're out of money, so you have to either get another job or contract work or something to be able to sustain yourself. So in that sense, I would say it's better if you have that, if you're in that situation or whatever, to be able to make and pump out as many games as you can. 3 months, every 3 months make a game, or every 2 months, 1 month, whatever is your type of schedule to make a game. I would still say that I still believe the game has to be good. I don't think you can just pump out any sort of reskin of a previous game. In my opinion, if then you're just contributing to the more saturation of the market. I think you should still provide something of value that people will like to play. But that doesn't necessarily. But providing something of value doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take a really long time to be able to make the game. So I do think that, and I think that now, because I know a lot of consumers hate the Epic Game Store, but Steam isn't the greatest store for indie game developers specifically, and it makes sense because Steam is already a very pronounced store. It's already big and already made its headway, and because of that, they'll make more money off of AAA games. They make 30% of whatever comes in, so why would they try to promote an indie game when that game isn't going to get as many sales as a AAA game? They would rather promote a game that they know will do well rather than a game that, take a chance on this other game. So in terms of indies, Steam is really hard for us to really penetrate the market. But the Epic Game Store, and hopefully new stores that are coming in like itch.io and things like that, those types of stores are easier for indie developers to actually make an impact. Itch.io is a great store because they give you 100%, but not many people really go on Itch.io. But for example, Epic Game Store is doing their things with their deals and everything. So if you're able to get a deal and you're able to kind of make sure that you're like really set, then yeah, even whatever situation you're in, you obviously can then pay for whatever you're going through, whatever the amount of money that they give you, you can pay for your game. So I think that for me specifically, I feel like if making a game every 3 or 4 months would be pretty fun, but I think I would burn out after a while. I feel like it would be a lot of crunch time work pretty much every 2 months. Every month there'd be like a lot of crunch time work, and there'd be very little amount of time to be really creative. A lot of times when we're doing game development, there's time where you're not working, but that time is often spent on like coming up with new ideas, making the game better. So in my opinion, I like longer term games, but they are more stressful even for this thing. I mean, I don't know about the more or less stressful, but they are pretty stressful for me specifically because it's you don't see the results and you don't know whether there's a lot of uncertainty involved. You don't know whether the results are going to be there in a very saturated, very difficult market. So yeah.
Right. Well, wow, you definitely had a lot to say about it. Surprisingly, I actually completely agree with you. I think it's dependent. I think, well, that's not the core, but it's that I don't think pumping out new games and to contribute to the saturation is the way to break saturation. That doesn't really make sense to me. I think you might, I feel like, at least from our experience, it's much more important to make, at least what I think, you make a good game and then you spend actually a lot of time building up that product that you're working on, like, you know, all the advertisement, all the videos, like what we're doing right now, even card game, the side stuff, advertisement, even short story writing, updating your website, it like everything surrounding the stuff, even a crazy good trailer. Rather than making 5 trailers, you make one really good trailer. I think that will have a better chance of penetrating a saturated market than making a bunch of small short-term stuff. Yeah. So I don't think that making small games is the way to make money. In fact, I kind of almost feel like it's the same as like investment. You don't start investing when you have nothing. You can only invest when you have extra things. You can't invest what you already have because you're going to start making bad mistakes. And I think pumping out small games is part of that bad mistake. So I feel like when you are making small games, I think the main thing you would want to start making small games is when you first start and you need experience and confidence, which comes from finishing games. I think that's the best time to make a bunch of small games. But after that, you shouldn't be doing that. I think that when you spend a lot of time on making one from beginning to end and making sure it's the best that you can possibly be, that will do better. And going back to the same as investing thing, if you can't, I feel like going into making games with the idea that I'm going to make a lot of money, this is going to be my job, is probably not the best way to start game design. You're going to start making a lot of, I would say more, I would say mistakes. I don't want to say what kind of mistake, but I think those are mistakes. When you start working games, you're going to have to bunker down. You're going to either have a stable job on the side and then work on games when you can, or you have to have family support and all that stuff. You can't just go in and say, I'm going to make small games to make money, because you probably won't, and you're just going to contribute to the clutter. So that's my idea of what game design is. And then as for the stores, I completely agree with you, Dhruv. There's it's part of what, at least from what I can hear, is it's part of the factors of deciding how you're gonna work with your games. So yeah, I don't have much to say about that. I think all the games are good, so all the stores are good so far. I think it's Konami, or no, I don't think it's Konami. One of the Japanese games says, if you're trying to go for market reach, then you put it on as many stores as possible, despite how good they are. If you're trying to make money yourself, then you go for the ones that make money, which is currently actually EGS. So yeah. I don't know.
So I mean, we'll see. I think that it's a pretty big topic right now in the indie game community, whether like the Steam and all these things, all these games being so hard to penetrate. And it's really easy to complain, and I don't want it to come off as if like I'm complaining that Steam is bad, because it's a very common. This is every business is going to be like this. It's something that isn't really worth to complain about. It's more that it's more like it's just a topic, and I feel like I wanted to give my own spin on it. I wanted to see your spin on it as well.
Right. Yeah, I feel like I really like this. How I feel like we should probably talk more. If it wasn't for the time, I think I would definitely want to talk more about it, because I think that there's a lot of time opportunities for us to exchange ideas. Right now we're kind of presenting.
Yeah. So maybe we can make more videos on this maybe in the future when things change, or maybe there's no new news. Tell us what you guys think, and make sure to smash that like button.
God dang it. All right, bye guys.
All right, bye.